So just give me 1 second. I'm having a little bit of difficulties with my camera. I don't know why it's not connecting. It should be honest. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam.
Okay, so inshallah, we'll just wait 1 more minute, I guess, if folks are trying to log on. Inshallah, everyone's Ramadan is going well.
Alhamdulillah. You're still missing IABA a lot.
Yes, yes. It's a different type of Ramadan.
Yes.
Sheikh, what do you think about the soft reopening? Will that mean maybe we reopen IABA?
Inshallah, we'll see. Hopefully so. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحنا له فداء. So in this discussion session, we want to continue our discussion of the Quran, our Tafsir. However, we are not going to limit the interaction, the Q&A to just the Tafsir. But I want to use this opportunity, at least on my part, to give a few resources, especially in this initial discussion, that will help us in the commentary of the Quran. As we stated in our video, as you see in our program as well, we will be doing the Tafsir of Surah Al-Mulk, and we'll do it over 3 sessions. So we had the first session, the second session, or commentary of Tafsir Al-Mulk, Surah Al-Mulk, will come on this weekend, and then later in the month we will finish off the Tafsir. But what each person can do, as I stated in the first session, we can take 1 verse a day and contemplate those verses, the meaning, try to get a deeper understanding of the ayat. So with that, what I would like to do is to point out a few resources that will be helpful for folks who want to do this. And then after I point out this, I will open up to question and answers for people. So if we look on the internet, there are a few very helpful resources with regards to the Quran. And even beyond this blessed month of Ramadan, we can make use of these resources to build our relationship with the Quran and understanding the Quran. So I'll start from the very simple sites to the ones that are a little bit more complex. But this site, the Quran, it's done by the University of Michigan. It's a very simple search of the Quran. You can just type in a word. I think I should have a word here. So blessings. When you want to search about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings in the Quran, and it will come up, give you all the places where this word has been translated as a blessing. It may be multiple words in the Quran, like tabaraka, or it could be ni'mah, that speaks about the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anywhere that blessings is a translation within the Quran, it will bring those up. Very simple, straightforward search engine. And there are a little bit of multiple searches as well. You can kind of narrow the search near, far, and so one can play around with the site. You can browse the Quran itself, verse by verse or chapter by chapter, and this is a good and simple resource. And again, this is the URL. If anyone wants to take note of it, or you can do simple Quran search, University of Michigan, and you should come up in the Google search. The second resource that I will give is the Clear Quran, and simply clearquran.com. This also has an app, so if you hit download, you can find the Clear Quran also on Google Play Store, I believe even the iPhone as well. You can find it for iPhone and for Android. And it's simply English Quran. And it has, if you come down here, you can play it and it'll play just the English. Or you can do multilingual and it'll do the Arabic and the English. And it'll play both. You can also do a word search as well. For word search. So this is also a very simple resource for the Quran. Another, I think, very useful resource for the Quran is the Quran Hive. And this is QuranHive.com. There's also an app on the Google Play Store for Quran Hive. And this allows you to search words in English from the English translation. It also allows you to do a phonetic search of words. For example, if you typed in Baqarah, then it'll find every place that it has Baqarah in the Quran. So if you know the word in Arabic, but you do not, you're not able to type in Arabic, you can type the transliteration and the word should come up. And of course, provided that you use the same transliteration that they use, then it should come up. So if you're maybe off by one letter or two, then just try a different letter. But one good thing also about this, this website, see if we can go to Surah Al-Mulk. Try to scroll down. But in any case, let's see. I may not go to Surah Al-Mulk. Let me just show you one of the nice features about this this website. So if you click on the Surah Al-Mulk is actually there. Let me find Surah Al-Mulk because it will be Surah Al-Mulk in 37. So with this website, it gives you the verses of Quran, and you can play the entire verse by hitting this. But likewise, you can play each word by itself. So if you highlight over the words and you click the audio, or you just click the word, it should play the word by itself. So qadir. It gives you the meaning of each word as well once you highlight over it. All right. And then if you hit this button here at the top, it says learn. This gives you other features about this particular verse. So if you want to learn more about the verse, you can hit memorization, and the verse will repeat as many times that you want it to repeat. Or you can look at the commentary of Ibn Kathir, one of the well-known scholars, of course, within the Sunni school of thought. And you'll find him referenced also in many of the Shia commentaries as well. Also, the commentary of Sayyid al-Qutb, his commentary is there. Ma'arif al-Quran, another kind of commentary, the grammar of the Quran, the Tafhim al-Quran as well, or the translation of Yusuf Ali. So let's say you click that, Tafsir of Ibn Kathir, then it gives you more explanation about what the verse means. Okay. And Sayyid al-Qutb as well. Gives you a detailed commentary. So this is a very useful website. All right. So
You are a low per speaker.
Quran Hive. Another useful website, Quran Corpus, and this is going to be a little bit more detail in its in the features that it gives you. So Quran corpus, if you go to word by word Quran, and so what this does, and I'll again find Surah Al-Mulk so that we can get Surah Al-Mulk. I'll hit go. And so what the Quran corpus does is going to break the verse down, each ayah down for you, so word by word, and it's giving you the grammatical aspect of this, the word, how it fits within the structure of the ayah. And so this is good for someone who is, I guess, learning Arabic, someone who may know some Arabic as well, but wants to gain a greater appreciation for the Arabic words and for what they mean and how they fit together. So for example, Surah Al-Mulk begins, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Tabarak alladhi biyadihi al-mulk wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. So what this tells you, Tabaraka, it is a verb, it's in the third person, meaning that blessed is he. What it also tells you that it is in form 6 of the Arabic verbs or of the derived words. So which denotes, again, form 6 denotes that there's an interaction between two sides of the verb. So there is one side that is initiating, perhaps, and I'm just giving a very rough summary of this particular form of the verb. So there are two sides to this verb, to this action of giving or delivering blessings. So one side is initiating and giving that blessing. The other side is receiving that blessing and perhaps doing something in order to make himself or herself worthy of receiving that blessing. So this particular form 6 denotes an interaction between two sides. This is one of the meanings, one of the several meanings of this particular form. So if you use this particular site, it will help you to gain that understanding of each word, where they fit and what those words are. Is it a noun? Is it a pronoun? So it gives you a little bit more in-depth understanding. Likewise, if you're scrolling down, let's see. You can have a syntactic tree breakdown. So again, pretty much the same thing, but in a chart form. Again, it gives you more of the grammar, gives you just different aspects of the Quran. It's a very useful website. The next is Tafsir, altafsir.com. Let me go back. So altafsir.com, this presents to you multiple tafsirs. Of course, it has one side, which is Arabic. If you go on this side to the tafsir, then a person is able to select between multiple tafsirs. Not sure if it's, let me make it a little bit bigger. And so you can also specify what type of tafsir you want. Just the undefined group of tafsirs, the kind of major tafsirs, tafsir of Ahlul Sunnah, tafsir of the Ahlul Sunnah that they are Sufi, Salafi, simple tafsirs, tafsir of Al-Ja'fari, Ithna Ashari, of again the Shia school of thought, Zaidi tafsir, Ibadi, and so you have all of those tafsirs, and most of those various tafsirs you have in Arabic. You have a few selections as well in English for those who are not familiar with the Arabic. So again, these are undefined. These are the selections, but again, most of the tafsirs are not in English. We have the tafsir of Tanwir, Tafsir al-Wahidi, which is tafsir that is quoted in many of the commentators of the Quran. Tafsir al-Wahidi speaks mostly about the Sha'n nuzul, or the occasion of revelation. That's when a particular verse was revealed to Allah, to the Prophet of Allah. What was the occasion? What was happening? Why was it revealed? Why different chapters were revealed to the Prophet of Allah? And so that is widely quoted by commentators of various schools of thought. And then you have the tafsir of Ibn Abbas, I believe this here as well. Yes, the tafsir of Ibn Abbas, Tanwir, which is also widely quoted by many commentators. And so you'll just click on the commentary, the one that you want. You will select the surah, which chapter you want. So if we are, excuse me. So if we are doing Surah Al-Mulk, then you will go to Surah Al-Mulk, and then you'll hit display. And Surah Al-Mulk will come up, the tafsir of Ibn Abbas, who's the cousin of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who, as again, widely quoted. On the side, you'll find some other resources: the science of the Quran, science of revelation or recitation, science of Quranic science, which is useful. It talks about just different topics that many of the commentators, they study and they examine before they actually even begin to give commentary of the Quran. How to go about determining meaning, which verses are abrogated and not abrogated, just various topics that the commentators, they study. Very useful site. Next, if you go to elislam.org, there's a full tafsir as well, in the Shia tafsir in English, an enlightening commentary into the light of the Holy Quran. So volume 18 deals with Surah Mulk. And of course, if you go to al-Islam, al-islam.org, and you can actually do a search for an enlightening commentary and put chapter 67, which is Surah Al-Mulk, and it should come up. So if you do a search on that, and this gives you complete tafsir. Likewise, any other chapter you want to get the commentary for in the Quran. So next is the Tafsir al-Mizan, and this is, I believe, Brother Khalfan, he is doing this. So al-Mizan.org. And of course, this is not a full and complete tafsir of the Quran. It only gives a few chapters. So if you hit here, you can find the different chapters which are available. The commentaries are available. That has been put on this website. Or you can hit discourses, and this is a very useful aspect of this site as well. So you can hit discourses, and what Khalfan has done, or what this website has done, has pulled out various topics from al-Mizan and only focus on those topics without going through the full tafsir of the chapter that these topics were in. So discussion about Islamic thought, discussion about the companions of the cave, discussions about Jesus and the gospel, the meaning of Tawheed, slavery and enslavement, the martyrs of Uhud, the philosophical discussions, compulsion and delegation. So whatever topics that Allama Tabatabai has spoken about or written about in Tafsir al-Mizan, he's pulled these out. And I think this website is also still in development stages. So once they finish different articles, they post them. So Islamic mobility, if you go to islamicmobility.com, and once you go there, then you will click the Holy Quran. And once you click the category of Holy Quran, then you will begin to go from page to page. Actually on page 5, then you have the tafsir of Ayatollah Puya. And this is also a complete tafsir of the Quran. It's multiple volumes. So this is just one of the many volumes. So, and you will find Surah Al-Mulk. Once you find Surah Al-Mulk, then you can download it as an EPUB, as a PDF, as a movie file. And these are useful resources for studying the tafsir and developing a greater relationship with the Quran. So I'll just end my short presentation here. Are there any questions that folks may have regarding the commentary or regarding other things that they may have questions about? Okay. There are no questions?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
This is Hassan Akhtar. Thank you very much for your presentation. I missed the initial part, trying to log in and all that. So the website that you mentioned in the beginning, is that Islamic Mobility? Is that what it is?
Islamic Mobility is one of the websites that I mentioned. So there are several websites that I gave reference to that are useful in developing a relationship with the Quran, trying to understand the Quran. One is the simple Quran search that's done by the University of Michigan. And I can put those in the in the chat so that people can actually see the reference. So everyone will have them. So this is the simple search done by University of Michigan. Of course, then the Tafsir al-Mizan, which is also another useful website. The best thing about these resources is that they're free. Person does not have to, and I think the website for the University of Michigan has already been placed in the discussion or in the chat group.
I sorry, I'm not able to see what you're showing. Maybe I did not click the right button or something.
Okay. It should be on the side, in the chat group. If you look down at the bottom, you may have a yellow. There's a chat icon. If you click the chat icon, it should come out. We also have an enlightening commentary into the Quran. Also the Quran Hive, which is very good resource. Okay, so these are the resources that I gave. So are you able to see the resources?
No, I'm not able to open up what you're showing. I'm clicking on chat. It doesn't show the screen that you're showing.
I can forward to Brother Hassan later on WhatsApp.
Okay, yes, that would be great. If you're able to forward, then.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Are there any questions regarding the commentary that we gave last Saturday? Or any of the questions about the users? Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Oh yeah. Yes, I had a question actually related to I think it was I'm trying to look it up here. It was verse 5 in Surah Al-Mulk. They said, indeed we have endured the heaven of the world with the lamps, and we have made such lamps as a means of driving away the devils. I had recall. I don't remember exactly where I heard it, but I was curious if maybe if you could remind me, or if what I'm remembering is correct. Was there something related to the birth of our holy prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that on the occasion of that special event, that like Allah somehow like sealed off the heavens to like jinn that used to be able to ascend? You mentioned something about like them ascending and listening in on the revelation that came down to Angel Jibrail. There's something I don't remember where I read it or where I heard it, but I feel like I came across or heard something once where on the when the Holy Prophet was born, that that was a special occasion that maybe somehow relates to this verse, where like that was Allah kind of sealed off the heavens or something like that. Maybe I'm totally, I could be totally, they could be totally unrelated. So I'm not sure, but I tried to look it up briefly in a couple of the tafsirs, but I didn't see anything. So I wanted to, see if it, if anything, rung a bell for you.
Yes, this is, I believe, one of the reasons or occasions of this that particular verse. That speaking about that moment when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he sealed the ability, or he stopped the ability of the jinn from sending to hear the revelation. And I believe that, yes, according to some of the narrations, it ties it to the occasion when the Prophet was born. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. So
Walaikum.
in Surah Al-Mulk, Allah says, "Khalaqal mauta wal hayata." So Allah mentions death first and life afterwards. So could you explain the significance of the sequence of the death and then life, or is it any special significance or no significance for this sequence?
Okay. To give a full understanding of that sequence, I probably would need to refer back to some of the commentaries that has spoken on that, the significance. But what I kind of recall a bit is that one aspect of it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he created death and then he created life. One, to show that that at least beyond himself, everything else was lifeless, was without anything, was without existence or without being. And then he brought that which was not living, that which was not in existence, into existence. So this is one of the aspects of why al-maut is mentioned, and then hayat, but life is mentioned. So his life, he's always had life, but everything else did not have life or existence. And he brought things into existence from nothing, without any pattern, without any prior creation or model to model anything after.
Yeah, I was trying to understand that. And one thought that came to me was that we existed, but existed in death, in Alam-e-Dar. And then at some point, Allah brought them to life in this world.
Mhm.
Like we exist in the other world, but in a dead state. And then we came into living state in this temporal world at the time that Allah chose. So that's
Yes,
one
but
way of thinking.
yes, that's one way of thinking, but also even prior to our being or existence in the Alam al-Dhar, in the Talamic world, the Adamic world, even prior to that, we were nothing. We did not exist. You know, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also states in the Surah Al-Insan that lam yukun shay'an madhkura, that we were nothing even to be mentioned, because there was nothing but him. So there could be no mentioning of anything else. So, and from that state of being nothingness or having that not, we came into existence and being.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions regarding the tafsir or other things as well, even regarding the blessed month of Ramadan, or regarding the rules of fasting? If anyone has any questions, then I will entertain those as well. So we can perhaps take one of the so let's look into one of the aspects. This is let's go to the tafsirs. Let us refer to the Tafsir al-Wahidi. Speaking about verse number 5. So here, and this is one of the aspects of Ibn Abbas' tafsir. A lot of times he just simply clarifies the meaning. It may not be a particular commentary that he gives. Let's see, in Surah
So, Sheikh Jabir, just for clarification, you were saying the tafsir there of Ibn Abbas, that's the like which Ibn Abbas is that?
Well, the Prophet, he had an uncle by the name of Abbas, correct? And so this is the son of Abbas, so Ibn Abbas. He was a young boy during the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And yes, so Ibn Abbas also, pretty much from his lineage, this is where the Abbasids, again, his offspring, his children, they are the ones who established the Abbasid dynasty within Islamic history.
Okay, yeah. So I guess I never realized that. Yeah, the Ibn Abbas, like that there's actually that there was actually a tafsir attributed to him. I guess that he. I mean, I wonder what, since that was very early, was it maybe compiled later, or I sort of wonder how it was sort of saved, right?
Well, pretty much within the traditions. So Ibn Abbas, we state that he, at least as the commentary goes, that he interacted with the Prophet of Allah. He would ask the Prophet of Allah about the meaning of certain verses and statements. And so this is why if you read the Tafsir of Ibn Abbas, on one hand, some verses simply just clarify the meaning of certain words within the Quran, within the revelation. So for example, it would bring a synonym that will say, for example, tabaraka al-baraka means ni'mah, that Allah is giving ni'mah, he's given blessings. So we bring synonyms. In other places, Ibn Abbas, he will give a tradition from the Prophet about a verse, about a chapter, sometimes regarding the benefit of reciting certain chapters. So Ibn Abbas, this is what mostly his commentary is made of. So either giving synonyms and clarifying or simplifying some of the meanings of the Quran, or giving a tradition that the Prophet had mentioned to him. And so because it was considered or at least that part, which is a hadith from the Prophet, so then that was preserved as a hadith. Other things that he may have written a little bit later as far as what verses mean. And so that was all kind of preserved within the books of tradition, the books of hadith.
I see.
Okay. Any other questions? So trying to see if they have the aspect about the shayateen being barred from the place. And this particular tafsir Sayyid al-Qutb, it's very interesting tafsir, just to give everyone a little bit of background. This tafsir, Sayyid Qutb, he mainly deals with a lot of pragmatic aspects of life and of social life. So the commentary is quite interesting from that perspective.
So, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam.
So this is Hassan. So in Surah Al-Mulk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, created 7 heavens, one above another. And the lowest heavens studded with stars. So should I understand that the known universe, as the scientists say, with stars which are millions of miles, light years away, is the lowest heaven, and there are 6 other heavens above that we don't even know about it or have no way to even understand or see them or approach even through the telescopes or whatever uh, methods we have, unknown 6 heavens, and the known heaven is the one that the astronomers they explore.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. This is a very, very good question. One of those things that a number of commentators of Quran they have discussed, and this is pretty much discussed in, I'll go back to this part, the Quranic sciences. I don't think there's any, I'm not sure if there's any aspect about that here, but that would normally be discussed in the Quranic sciences, that to what extent are we able to take verses like that, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that he's created the 7 heavens, one above the other, or in other places. So to what extent are we able to take that verse and say that this is speaking to exactly what has been discovered? There have been commentators of the Quran who have kind of pointed out these things that, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says this in the Quran, and see, this is the way this aspect is, and that's it. There's no other dimension to that, which other scholars have basically deemed to be problematic. They say that, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is pointing to these things simply as an indication, not to state that it is confined to this, but what he's doing is that he is giving mankind hints about different aspects of this world, about this universe, something that we can perhaps comprehend, something that perhaps we may discover, and there may be things that even beyond that that may be discovered at some later time. So at least among a majority of these scholars, they say that these verses, in other words, do not confine or define the boundaries of science. They may make what they say ishara, or indication towards scientific issues, but simply, you know, in a way that it encourages mankind to go forth and to look and to discover and keep discovering. So this is why also we find also in Surah Al-Mulk, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tells us that he says that look and turn back again. So not simply you know, look towards these things that he has pointed out, but he says take a second look, and then take even a third look. So they say that yes, these things are perhaps, we can perhaps match some of the things within the Quran with science, that these things have been discovered at times, that yes, it's put things forth that mankind did not know about scientifically, but at the same time, it did not give a complete definition. It just basically pointed out that look towards these things. These are what we've created, what we have done. And then, of course, as we discover more, it's not to say that, oh, well, the Quran didn't point out all of these things, so it didn't give complete scientific knowledge. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pointed these things out to us so that we can see them, so that we can understand them, so that we can contemplate again his greatness, the greatness of this universe and what he has created, and also even to discover things even beyond that, but know that the cause of those things are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he has created it all. He has put these things forth. So is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Any other? Go ahead.
Oh yes, I had another follow-up question, Sheikh. So I would, I really appreciate you pointing us out or pointing us to that that website, Al Tafsir, you know, with so many different, you know, I guess tafsirs available there. I know one thing that I've, I guess, you know, experienced, you know, in looking for, or, you know, in looking at tafsirs is, you know, there, of course, there is some limitations, right? You know, when English is your primary language, you can't really read and understand the Arabic. So I look forward to, you know, I guess looking at maybe some of the English translations of some of the Sunni commentators, you know, I guess that are available on that website. I would say, I guess in the past, I've been maybe somewhat hesitant, you know, I guess as a lay person, you know, reading, you know, a Sunni you know, commentators sort of maybe not always knowing, you know, what, you know, maybe what is accurate and what is not. Are there any sort of, you know, general suggestions or, you know, guidelines that you would give to us, you know, when reading and those to sort of get, you know, a lot of the benefit that comes from those, you know, and hopefully not, yeah, you know, and not take anything that may not necessarily be correct from it.
Yes. So Hamla, again, there are different styles of commentary. So I think that's one of the things that we should understand. So one of the basic and very simple types of commentary is simply expounding upon the meaning of words. For example, what is the meaning of tabaraka? How do we understand the breakdown of that word? Something that the Quran corpus will give us as well. And there are also one of the sites may have not have shown it, but it actually gives you a comparison of the various translations, which is also useful. In fact, that's sometimes a type of commentary. Very simple. It's a literal commentary, basically breaking down the words. And then you have commentaries which are purely based on the traditions. So like within our school of thought, you have Tafsir al-Burhan, Tafsir al-Nur al-Thaqalain. Many of these tafsirs are not translated into English, but it's a style of tafsir where the commentary is solely based on what the traditions have stated. And then you have tafsir that goes into various aspects. So you have a tafsir that, like for example, Tafsir of Sayyid Qutb, which speaks about, again, his tafsir deals with a lot of social and pragmatic issues, that how can we understand the Quran and perhaps apply it to our life today, or at least in his time. So what benefit do we get from it today? You have the tafsir of like Allama Tabatabai, which incorporates aspects of philosophy. You have the tafsir of Tustari, which I think there is on the tafsir.com, I think there's an English version of the Tafsir Tustari. And Tafsir of Tustari is basically a tafsir that goes into, yes, so they do have Tafsir Tustari. Tafsir Tustari is more of a kind of a spirituality, or a tafsir that focuses mostly on the spiritual aspect and dimension of the Quran and the verses, a bit of the kind of tasawwuf type of things. So if we understand to some extent that what is the approach of the commentator, the mufassir, this will help us kind of prepare to understand that, okay, well, what aspects of this tafsir may may or may not be within line with perhaps our particular aqidah or line of belief. What may or may not be in line with the scholarship which maybe our school of thought has kind of verified. So you'll find that maybe some hadith that are used in the various tafsir, whether it's tafsir of Sayyid Qutb, the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, maybe even the tafsir of Ibn Abbas as well. Again, because some of our scholars, they again weigh the hadith itself, whether it is a valid hadith or is it a strong hadith, is it a weak hadith, is it not so strong of a hadith, but it's acceptable. So if we understand that, then we can again prepare ourselves or equip ourselves to read any tafsir and just realize that, okay, well, this may be coming from a tradition or a source which may not be sources that our scholars accept. But nonetheless, if we are in a position of studying and educating ourselves, then even reading those or coming across those will perhaps even spark a discussion. Okay, well, what is the aspect of this verse that scholars from our school of thought they accept, or how have they made commentary on it? Because when we actually look in the tafsirs, again on both sides, you'll find that usually the in-depth tafsirs of the Quran, whether it's written by a Shia scholar or whether it's written by a Sunni scholar, what they do is that they read the tafsir of everyone. So, for example, in the tafsir of Al-Mizan, if you read the Arabic, you'll find that Allama Tabatabai at times he indicates or points towards Ibn Kathir, some of his commentary. Some aspects are quotes out of Sayyid Qutb's tafsir. And likewise, on the Sunni side, you'll find, for example, Alusi. He writes a very spiritual commentary of the Quran. Quite often he refers to different aspects that you find in the Shia tafsir, or the tafsir of Fakhr Razi, which is a very renowned Sunni scholar, Shafi'i Sunni scholar. When you read his commentary, Tafsir al-Kabir, quite often he's referencing statements and tafsir from the Shia school of thought. At times he accepts, he says, yes, what they said is correct, and he accepts that as his own position, sometimes against the argument of other Sunni commentators. Other times he looks at the tafsir of the Shia and he says that, well, we have a different position, and that position may be in line with the Sunni school of thought. And sometimes he will disagree with both Sunni and Shia, and he has his own particular understanding of the verses of Quran. So if we are in a position that we're able to have a Quran discussion, then reading the various commentaries of the Quran, I believe, will simply give us more of an appreciation of the Quran itself. No matter what the school of thought is, at least at one point we will understand that how other folks, they approach the Quran and understand the Quran, which may be similar to the way we understand and approach the Quran, may be different than the way that we understand and approach the Quran. So I think it's, provided the right environment and the right, I guess, educational setting, it can be a very fruitful and productive discussion, or it can lead to those fruitful and productive discussions.
Sheikh, one scholar once told me that there are many different commentaries in the Quran, like the Tafsir Namuna and Mizan, but he said that read only stick to one, which is like Nur Sakhlan. And the reason he gave was that all the riwayat and hadith quoted in there are from our imams. So they are more authentic than all other opinions expressed by non-imams. What is your take on this?
Yes, the tafsir, as I said, like Nur al-Thaqalain, the tafsir is made up of only riwayat from the Prophet and the Imams, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu wasalam. However, that doesn't mean that all of the traditions are authentic. It can be verified. So again, going back to what I stated previously, the compilers of or basically the folks who have written tafsir of Quran. So I believe Tafsir Nur al-Thaqalain, if I'm not mistaken, is by Sheikh Nouri. I would have to check, but by Sheikh Nouri, I think he basically compiled the traditions within our books, the Al-Kafi, maybe Bahar al-Anwar. He compiled all of them, and he put forth this commentary just simply of the traditions. So again, his methodology, perhaps in his methodology, that all of the traditions that he compiled were correct, they're okay, and he accepted it as okay. But you have other scholars who may apply a more stricter protocols with regards to accepting traditions or hadith. And so they will say that, yes, these traditions have been associated with the Prophet or the Imam with regards to a particular verse or a particular chapter of the Quran. So, but then they take an extra step and they see that, okay, well, what is the chain of narrators of this hadith, this tradition? Is the chain of narrators strong, whereby I can rely on that tradition to say that, yes, the Prophet said this about this verse, or the Imams have said this made this particular statement or commentary about this verse, or not? So if, for example, the tradition may not be validated by them, they may not accept that tradition. I'll give you one example as well. Allama Tabatabai, when he wrote the Tafsir al-Mizan, and this is known about his life, that before he actually began to write the commentary, he taught, in other words, he had a class to teach Bihar al-Anwar. And Bihar al-Anwar, as you know, it is a voluminous book of traditions. It is 112 volumes roughly, or actually a little bit more. No, sorry, excuse me. There's roughly about 112, 113 volumes, depending on the print. So he taught this book of traditions before he actually began to write the Tafsir al-Mizan. And one of the things that he wanted to do is to kind of verify the authenticity of the traditions, what can be taken, what can be accepted with regards to the commentary of the Quran. And before even he wrote the Tafsir al-Mizan, which many people know about, he has another tafsir called Tafsir al-Bayan, wherein he mostly gives the commentary of the Quran by the traditions, and also explaining some of the meanings as well of the verses. This Tafsir al-Bayan was not as popular as al-Mizan, because in al-Mizan he gave a more comprehensive commentary of the Quran, including not only discussions of the riwayat, but also different philosophical issues. He explained these things. So whether one would just wholeheartedly accept all of the traditions and say, well, it's from the Prophet and it's from the Imams, and we accept it or not, this is, I think, a matter of methodology according to scholars, and perhaps a matter of debate among some scholars. So how strict is one in accepting the traditions? So, and of course, in the Al-Bayan of Allama Tabatabai, he didn't bring any and every tradition. Likewise, in the Al-Mizan, he didn't bring any and every tradition. He was very selective about which narrations, which traditions, which hadith could correctly speak to the meaning of the verses and what these verses were, the various verses are about. So hopefully that answered your question. Now, if there's no more questions, then I think we will end here. Actually, there's a program that we will be having, our Quran Circle, that will be in a few minutes. So, inshallah, next this Saturday, we'll have the second part of our Tafsir of Surah Al-Mulk. And then thereafter, we will have another discussion session about Tafsir and also about other aspects of this blessed month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.